Well, today I got a little treat for all of you guys. I don't got one, not two, not three, not four, but five wrestling events from Japan that you guys are going to love for me to review. Some you may have heard, others you haven't. So, all of that will be discussed and reviewed, talked about on this episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling from AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, many promotions, wrestlers, matches, championships. I am your host J Rod here. So let's talk about this first Japanese promotion event. This one is from All Japan Pro Wrestling. It's from their latest event, AJP Prime Night. This took place on December 13th of this year. Now, if you guys aren't familiarized with All Japan Pro Wrestling, I'll give you a small history. All Japan Pro Wrestling is one of the second oldest promotions in all of Japan. They are around the same time as New Japan Pro Wrestling. The only difference is both their founders, Antonio Inoki and Giant Baba, came from the same promotion before they formed their own. Giant Baba was the founder of All Japan Pro Wrestling, but his style is known as King's Road. So basically, it's more like you're telling the story while you're fighting. It makes it a bit more longer and more tense. Now, I have never seen much of All Japan except for clips on YouTube, but seeing a full-blown event, that's a different story. So this event took place in Corkin Hall on December 13th. Now, the first match of the evening, they had Francisco Akira, who doesn't seem like he's Japanese, but looks more like he's French or some European from his accent, facing off against someone we know back from WWE and ECW. We're talking about the Japanese buzzsaw, Tajiri. So it's great to see Tajiri. He did an amazing job, a veteran. So basically, in this match, Francisco Akira tried every maneuver to try to beat a guy like him, but however, it was Tajiri who actually outsmarted him. And Francisco cannot believe he actually got outsmarted, but who knows? Well, he's Tajiri for Christ's sakes. You guys know who he is. Next match is a six-man tag team match with one faction calling themselves Purple Haze. It consisted of Utamero, Izagi, and Zeus. Both Zeus and Utamaro are, in fact, the current tag team champions, facing off against Ryuki Honda, Koji Iwamoto, and Masanobu Fushi. Now, I'm not much familiarized with all these wrestlers, but it was a very interesting match. I was like very impressed with this. I didn't think they would not much of the stable faction exist in the same kind of concept as New Japan. But however, seeing Zeus with a faction of his own is very interesting to see. But however, it is the faction that won, Purple Haze, and who knows if they're gonna have any challengers to face Zeus and his partner for those tag team titles. The next match is a singles competition with Atsuki Aoyagi versus Jake Lee. Now, Jake Lee is a familiar name for me. I've seen him. He's not an American or Chinese. In case you're wondering, he's a Japanese wrestler. Jake Lee always impresses me every single time I look at him. If you guys haven't, look him up on YouTube or Google him. I kind of suspected he would win this match because he was very familiarized to me, but he's a good wrestler to watch. So he picked up the victory on this particular match. The next match is another singles competition. This is with Dan Tamamura versus Shotaro Ashino. Now, I'm not familiarized with these guys. Not a lot of wrestlers I'm familiarized with because All Japan is a lot more different from any Japanese promotion I've ever witnessed. So, I'll give you the guys the hint on this one. It's Shotaro Ashino who won this one. He's a very pretty much of a powerhouse type of wrestler when I noticed. Um, so he basically that's how he wins. Now the next match, this one is for the very first ever brand new title championships called the AJPW Television Six Man Tag Team Championship. So this is the first time these guys are establishing a trios type of championship for 6 man tag team titles. So the first team is So Diamagi, Ryuji Sai, and Revlon versus Black Mansori, Cardell Idoi, and Takeo Omori. So these guys are, like I said, I'm not familiarized with, but it was also a pretty good match to watch. I did enjoy this. Now, the first team I mentioned, they have a unique sense of gear. I did like it. I kind of thought maybe these guys who have cooler gear will win it, but nope. It turns out the winner was none other than Black Masaru, Itoi, and Omari. So they are now declared as the first ever uh, AJPW Television Six Man Tag Team Championships. So they're the first champions, and who knows who will be the first challengers to face them for these titles. Now we got another singles competition. This is from between Hikaru Umari versus Kohei Sato. Now I don't know who these guys are, but this was a really, really good match. I did enjoy it. I loved it. Um, Not a whole lot I can remember, but it was a good one to watch. But however, the winner for this one is Kohei Sato. So I'm not familiar. Like I said, I'm not familiarized with him, but yeah. Now the next match is a 6 man tag team match. This is between Yusuke Okada, Shikara, and someone you guys familiarized yourselves with, either with WWE or New Japan, Yoshitatsu. He's facing off against stable faction known as Unchained, consistent of Kenji Fukimoto, Masashi Takeda, and Jun Kasai. Now, these guys, Unchained, they brought in sharp weapons in order to win their match. But however, I did notice uh, they're using female refs in here. I'm like thinking, wait a minute. I thought they're separate away from things, because not a lot of the promotions in Japan are co-ed. I think I may have known one or two or so. But yeah, but however, the referee did not see what Unchained were doing the entire time with their titles, with sharp objects, but somehow they were able to win the match, all thanks to which one is it? Kenji, who kind of like spike pile drive Okada, and Unchained were the real victors. But however, during in the post match, Yoshitatsu gave a very interesting promo, but there was no subtitles. But I think he actually gave Okuda the props, knowing that he hang in there, and it turns out I think he's considered as a young boy, basically wrestlers who are under training, kind of like a young lion down in New Japan. So he put on the colors of All Japan Pro Wrestling shirt, and now he's officially with them. And now we got to the main event. We have Yuma Ayogagi with Kento Miyahara. And of course, you're familiarized with Sky. He's from Dragon Gate, OWE, and AEW. We're talking about Shima versus Hikaru Sato, Suji Ichikawa, and Suwama. Now, Suwama he's also title holder of two different titles, but he is the current Triple Crown champion in All Japan. It was a pretty good match. I did like Shima and Kento. I'm familiarized with those two because Kento, he was once the champion before Suwama actually beat him. But of course, the victory was obtained by none other than the other obvious guy, Yuma. and he picked up the victory. And of course, they have an interesting promo with Shima, and then later he passed it on to Yuma and then Kento. And it's pretty interesting. I don't know what they were saying, but it seems very emotional. But however, they gave a little every wrestler who would participate in that in a little like, we'll see you guys next year, that type of thing. We're glad, but we hope we'll see you guys again when things are calmed down. So I have to say, there's still, if they ever, you see, I watched this in some sort of a wrestling link. You can see many wrestling shows. So if there's more of All Japan Pro Wrestling, I will be happily to review it, and we'll go from there. So for now, I say let's move on to the other Japanese promotion that that led to the mass, exodus. We're talking about none other than Pro Wrestling Noah. Hey everyone, so right now we're talking about Pro Wrestling Noah's latest event called The Gift. Now, if you guys are new to the channel and you guys don't know what Pro Wrestling Noah is, let me give you a small history about them. Pro Wrestling Noah were once part of All Japan Pro Wrestling. This was started in 1999 when the shocking passing of founder Giant Baba. Matsuharu Misawa was the president of the company that Giant Baba entrusted. But however, his widow Makoto Baba wanted to change the direction of pro wrestling, but Misawa, on the other hand, did not like it. So he felt disheartened with the direction of Makoto Baba's decisions. She excluded him from all about meetings. But when word got out that he was leaving the company, 24 out of 26 native wrestlers, I'm talking about Japanese wrestlers, um, decided to side with Misawa and flee with him. And 24 out of 26 Gaijin wrestlers, I'm referring to foreigners, they decided to leave with Misawa, and so did people, like a majority of people that work in the All Japan Pro Wrestling office, even the television networks, they all cited it. And they got their name because of the biblical resemblance with Noah's Ark and, Misawa, how he took the wrestlers with him and people followed him. So in a way, he was the Noah of the story, trying to save pro wrestling from Makoto Baba. Like if you know the story that God intended to destroy the earth by flooding the entire land, and they built an ark and all of that. So that kind of resembled it. But Pro Wrestling Noah has been one of the most companies that had struggles. But however, ever since they were purchased by DDT Pro Wrestling, they started their own company called Cyberfight. So let's get started with this event, The Gift. First match is a singles competition between Yasutakara Yano and Hamije Ohara. Now, I'm not familiarized with these guys. Like, there are some wrestlers I am familiarized with, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I'll give you the winner of this match. It's Ohara who won this match. The next match is a six-man tag team match between uh, Akitoshi Saito, Masao Inoue, and Masashi Ayo, Aoyagi versus a stable faction called themselves Kongo, consisting of Manabu Soya, Masa Kitamiya, and Katsuhiko Nakajima. So these guys are part of a faction called Kongo, very dominant. Their colors are all red. Pretty cool. I like their color scheme, very interesting team. And I've always been familiarized with Congo because they've always been one of the most dominant factions ever. Nothing similar like the Bullet Club or Suzuki Goon, but very good team. I did enjoy a few of what they were doing, but however, Congo, like I said, is the most dominant faction. They win this match. The next match we have a tag team match between Junta Miyawaki and Atsushi Koroje versus members of the faction known as Stinger, consistent of Yoshinari Ogawa and Hayata. However, the match only lasted 3 minutes because apparently the match was interrupted by a surprise guest, someone who's been around the wrestling business in Japan named um, Nosawa Rongea, who runs who was part he is part of a faction known as the Tokyo Gurentia. They've been in many promotions, but him and another guy showed up and attacked Stinger for no apparent reason, and they just left, but allowing Junta and Atsushi to win the match. Now, the next match is another tag team. This is Shuhei Taniguchi and Mohamed Yano. Now, Mohamed Yano is someone I've seen before in a previous event. He has this big afro, and they come out with the entrance from Earth, Wind, and Fire, Boogie Woogie something, facing off against Kenya Okada, and of course the GHC World Heavyweight Champion Go Shiozaki. So it was basically Shiozaki, who is the top guy, teaming with a sort of like a newbie. Pretty good match, I have to say. It was interesting to see Go actually team up with someone new, and it did help win him the match. Even though he is like their current ace in Pro Wrestling Noah. Next match, it was supposed to be a singles match. It was Yuya Suzumu versus Kotaro Suzuki. It ended in disqualification. Once again, was interrupted by Nozawa, and this time it became like a six-man tag team match between this mysterious partner with the mask, Nozawa, and Katuro versus Stinger. Suzumu himself, Yuya Suzumu, he's in fact a member of Stinger. The match didn't go so well. Basically, they keep beating each other. There was no winner. Ref lost control and ended with a no contest. There was basically chaos from both sides. Next match, we have other members of Congo. We have Neo Hawa and, of course, leader Keno, who is also the Global Honored Crown National Champion, Keno, versus Full Throttle, Zeki Yoshioka, and Yohei, teaming with, of course, one of the founding members of Pro Wrestling Noah, Naomichi Marufuji. Now, this match was unbelievable. I love Marufuji. He's one of my favorite wrestlers to watch. He was also the ace, and he faced Okada before. And I loved it. It was an amazing match. I love how they both coincided. As you know, Marufuji is part of another faction called M's Alliance. But Full Throttle, they're like an affiliation team with Marufuji. But the one thing that was surprising is the way the Congo lost the match. Even Keno was not so pleased with the idea of losing the match like that, but it did. So basically, he underestimated um, this team, and he probably should have known better. So he was not happy with the results, but it gave Full Throttle and Marufuji the victory on this one. Now we have a championship match. This one is for the Global Honor Crown Junior Heavyweight Championship, with challenger, also a member of Congo, uh, Taduketsuke, versus the champion Daisuke Harada. Again, I'm not familiarized with this match. These guys have been at each other's throats before. They try to fight each other. There were some moments where Taduseke tried to win the match in every means necessary to ensure, but however, Daisuke actually outsmarted him, outlasted him in every way possible, and he won the match, retained the title. Now, the main event is for the Global Honored Heavyweight Tag Team titles. Currently, with the challengers, Yoshiki um, Inamura and Kaito Kiyomiya versus members of Sugira Gun, um, Katsushi Sakuraba, and Takashi Sugaria, who's the leader of this faction. They are the current champions. Uh, every mean necessary, apparently, Segura and Sakuraba are one of the most interesting factions ever. Sakura looks like he has Sakuraba. It seems like he has an MMA background. If you notice, he did several submission moves, but however, Segura, who's a powerhouse, facing against uh, Inamura, they were facing off so well in powerhouse type matches. But however, it ended with uh, Segura Gun retaining the tag team titles, and we'll see how that goes. Whoever will be their next challengers, I don't know when will that happen. Hopefully soon. I will follow more with Pro Wrestling Noah if the same link will broadcast any more of their events coming down in the near future, and we'll see how that goes. So, uh, I think that's it for now. So I say let's move on with the number one Yoshi promotion of 2 days of event, Stardom. All right, so Stardom had two events, but we're gonna do one at a time. So the first one took place on the 19th of December, and it was in Shizuoka. So there was no title matches on this one, but some interesting matches. First match, we have Lady C versus Ruka. Now these two ladies have faced off before many times over in previous episodes that I previous events, but however, Ruka actually won the match as always. She's always been the powerhouse from what I can see. Lady C, she's a very good striker, but however, the powerhouse wins somehow. Next match is a three-way match between Konomi from Odoatai, Siya Ida from Stars, and of course, Mina Shirakawa, who is 1/3 of the Artists of Stardom champion, and of course, a member of Cosmic Angels. And it was a pretty good, interesting match. However, um, Konami and Mina doesn't seem like they want any piece of Saya. Uh, there's been rivalries between all three of these wrestlers from three different factions, but seems they picked Suya out because she's the powerhouse. If you guys ever seen her, I want to put this on note that she has almost a similar body type as Jordan Grace. I don't know if Jordan Grace have ever met her or seen her, but I would love to see her face Jordan Grace. That would be an amazing match. But the match was so hard hitting. But however, the match ended in Konomi's favor as always. Odatai always finds ways to win the match. The next match is a tag team match, this time with Dana Demondo, Suri, and Natsupoi facing off against the other members of Cosmic Angels and also 2/3 of the Artists of Stardom championships, Unagi Sayaka and Tam Nakano. Now, like I said, these girls, the Cosmic Angels, did not put their titles on the line, so there was no titles. But it was an interesting match to see um, Suri and Natsupoi putting every effort in their power to win this match. As always, they are like not a villain faction if you see them, but they've tried to be outsmart themselves, make themselves look good. But however, um, the Cosmic Angels did everything to win the match because they want to prove that they're not the weaklings because they are members of Stars. So I'll talk more about that in the next segment of the episode. But however, it's Donna Demondo that actually won this match. Next match we have Odeotoi in a six-man tag team match. We have Odeotoi, Saki Kashima, B Priestley, and Natsuko Tora versus Starlight Kid, Mayu Iwatani, and of course everybody's favorite AEW star Rio. The match was always starts out with Odatai actually attacking them before the bell rings. The match was so intensified they Odatai doesn't care about the rules. They try to win in any that's necessary. They even on this one they disqualified themselves, allowing for Kid, Mayu, and Rio to win the match. Now, this is not a match that they were happy to win, but it was a match for them to gain a win. But however, they're not satisfied how they won it. But they never said anything. They just took it out. took it like strong individuals and went in the back to reflect on this match. Now we got to the main event. We got Donna Del Mondo, Julia, Mikey, and Hikema versus Queen's Quest, Utami Hayashishara, Asaya Kamitani, and Momo Wanatabe. Now these two factions are in the brink of either facing off each other or aligning themselves. They have faced off. I do know that Julia is gonna face what's her name? Julia is gonna be facing someone from Queen's Quest, and Utami will be putting her title on the line as well against Momo Matabe. So basically, this is one of those matches where okay, this is a prelude before their upcoming event for Osaka Dream Cinderella. But however, it's Donna Del Mondo. They took the victory as always. Julia has always been the one person that always makes sure that the team wins. That's always been her case. So I think that's it for now for these girls. So this was the day before we get to Osaka Dream Cinderella. So I say let's go to that particular event that took place on December 20th, right about now. Okay, so we got the other Stardom event, which is the main one, Osaka Dream Cinderella. This took place on December 20th, and it was a pretty good event. The first match is a three-way for the Future or Stardom Championship. We have Saya Ida, Samaya Kamitani, and of course the champion, um, Micah. However, in this particular match, Saya and Micah were being smart. They don't want nothing to do with Saya to win, to be involved in this, so they try to avoid her in every means necessary. They felt like she is the weak link in the out of the three. But however, Saya was showing how strong she is, that she's not going to back down from what other people say about her. So she's proven that she is the most strongest individual. But however, there are times that she tried to get in, the others are trying to push her out, but it did not work. Saya picked up the victory on this one, feeling that she's relieved, and she gave an amazing promo thanking the fans who were in her support, that everything she did was all worth it. And Saya deserved to be a champion. That is something that people say when they look at stars. They look at stars as the weak link of the all the factions that they think they know something about winning, and but they do. But let's move on from that. The next match is a tag team match. We have members from Odeya Tai, Natsuko Tora, and Konomi facing against Rio and Ruka. Now, once again, Oidoe Tai, Odoe Tai always attacks them when the first bell rings. But however, they always find ways to cheat their way through as certain aspects when the referee's not looking. But this time they were able to use whatever power they get an advantage to beat Ruka and Rio, allowing them to win this victory for them. Iduatai pick up the victory. As for Rio and Ruka, well, they were not strong enough to beat them, even if it was not a disqualification match. Next match, other members of Iduatai were facing against members of Donna Del Mondo. We have Bay Priestley and Saki Kashima faces members of Donna Del Mondo, Natsupoi, and Humaki. Now, this is another match where you assume that Idoatai was going to win, but apparently it did not go exactly like they wanted. It's Donna Del Mondo who actually won the match. Surprise, surprise, it was Himaki who actually picked up the victory this time. So, better luck next time, Idoatoi. Now, the next match is a championship. This is for the high speed championship with challenger Mie Mochizuki versus the champion Azami. Now, this title I have been familiarized with. Rio actually won this one on her latest last year, but this time Azami beat her for the title. This match was so intensified, so good. I like Azami how she's a bit more aggressive. I remember seeing her in the documentary they did for uh, wrestlers, and they had the entire Stardom thing, and she was in it. And she was 15 when they actually filmed this. But the match was so intense. But Azami actually won this match, as always, showing that she is the strongest individual that she's ever been in the entire history of Stardom. The next match is for the Artist of Stardom Championship. We have stars consistent of Gokiga Death, Starlight Kid, and Mayu Itami versus the champions and newly crowned Cosmic Angels, Tam Nakano, Unagi Sayaka, and Mina Shirakawa. Now, as you recall, now here's the story that I like about this match. This is one of the best matches I like. It turns out the Cosmic Angels are members of Stars, and it turns out there's been mounting attentions between certain members of Stars against the Cosmic Angels. Now, eventually, Mayu does not like the attitude of Tam Nakano. She feels that what she's doing is not what Stars are all about, but they feel like they've been pushed to the side and they decided they need to strike on their own. But this match was very interesting. This is not a standard 6-woman tag team match. This was a 6-woman elimination match. The only way to eliminate a person is 3 ways and 3 options. One of 3 options: either over the top, pinning, or submission. So each one was being removed. So basically, Stars were able to get the advantage to take out 2 members of Cosmic Angels, Nakano and Inagi. But Mina was able to hold her own to ensure she was win. She was always been considered as the weak link within the group, but however, she was able to eliminate Star Kid, and then all of a sudden, um, Gokigen Death, and then of course, Mayu. This was an incredible elimination match. But what I like about this is the post match is how Cosmic Angels made a statement and made it perfectly clear that they are no longer part of Stars. They're striking on their own. But however, the tensions between both the Cosmic Angels and Stars is starting to escalate even further. Now, the way it goes, Mayu was not too thrilled what Tam Nakano made a decision to announce in public that the Cosmic Angels will be leaving Stars striking on her own. And that struck Mayu very angrily that she made that decision. And she considered her as an enemy. But however, Starlight Kid made another fantastic point. In the previous event, members of Stars that consist not only Mayu and Kid, they had Saya Ida, who involved themselves in the match against the Cosmic Angels in one of their tours. But however, Stars won that match. So Kid made a decision that they beat them once before becoming champions. So she said, this time we're gonna have Saya Ida to join them, but this time also to take away the titles, and they're determined to destroy the Cosmic Angels because they felt that that these girls are making decisions that doesn't coincide with Stars are all about. But however, Unagi realized something. The way they were speaking, they felt like exactly what Natsuko mentioned. You think this victory means something. It doesn't. But now the Cosmic Angels have to step up their ante. So Unagi made a decision to tell Tam that we have no other choice. That they have to face them once more because beating them that very night was not enough. So they have to put the titles on the line. And Unagi convinced Nakano to accept the challenge. And Nakano agreed with her, so they accepted. So Cosmic Angels made it perfectly clear they will take the challenge. And this is going to be one heck of a rivalry from what I'm seeing. So I hope you guys love those stories, how I mentioned that. Now let's talk about the next match, which is a double championship, a title versus title. This is between Suri, who is a member of Suri, who is the current SWA Undisputed World Women's Championship champion, versus Julia, who is the Wonder of Stardom, which is another title from Stardom, facing off each other. This match was so intensified, so brutal. It tells a story how these two girls are determined to win and anything's necessary. And luckily, none of their respected factions actually got involved. And it basically, they just let them fight it off. It's so good, and I was so loving this match. But frankly, the match ended in a time limit draw. Their time limit is not similar. It's not the same as New Japan, what is in 60 minutes. Theirs is a 30-minute, and they went all blown. As soon as the match was over, you can see both Sudi and Julia really realizing that they put on a good performance, and no matter what happened, they found respect with each other. No matter, like, they were evenly matched, and that it was an amazing match to see. Hope we get to see it again. Now let's get to the main event, which is for the, which one is it? World of Stardom Championship. This is the main one, the top one, the red belt, as they call it, where we have Momo Wanatabe versus Utami Hayashishida. This is another good match. Now Momo has been trying to determine to dethrone Itami. Now this is Itami's first title defense, so everybody believes in, and whenever you see that, oh, you're going to lose the title right away. But this time Itami was trying to prove that she is meant to win this title no matter what, and that's exactly what she did in this match. So she proved everyone wrong, that she is the top champion no matter what, and she was able to beat Momo in every way possible, and that's what she did. So now that Itami retained the title, however, she did made a very good promo at the end of. So she said that she's very proud that she made her first title defense and defended it. But however, she did state it that she is interested in facing off in the Osaka edition or something like that for another time. But however, there's another one that she's well aware, which is the 10-year anniversary of Stardom. So she was about to say that she's open to a challenge, but all of a sudden, the former Future of Stardom champion actually made an appearance, Makai. So she issued herself as the challenger. So this is going to be another interesting thing to watch. So I'm excited. Hope you guys are excited. So I think that's it for Stardom. Let's go with DDT Pro Wrestling. Okay, let's talk about DDT Pro Wrestling. Now, another promotion you guys are familiarized. DDT stands for Dramatic Dream Team. Basically, this is not just a normal wrestling promotion. This also plays out as a comedy show. So basically, there's a lot of been comedy wrestling in this involved. If you guys must know, if you're fans of Sammy Guevara, he's been on this particular tours with DDT at least 3 times in his career. I know Puma King has been involved. So Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi actually met in this promotion. So is Michael Nakasawa, and I'm trying to remember who else was in it. Well, I hate to mention his name. Joey Ryan was one of them. And if you guys wondering, one of the wrestlers there in DDT was the one that gave him the idea of the dick flip. In case you're wondering. So yeah. So this promotion had a different event. They did not have their matches in a ring. They were having in public locations all over Tokyo. Now, the first match they had was It was a 6-woman tag team match from the girls from Tokyo Yoshi Pro Wrestling, which is one of their sister promotions that they affiliate with. First team in consistent Marika Kobashi, Nodoka Temna, and of course Miyu Yamashita versus Hikara Noa, Mizuki, and the magical girl Yuka Sakasaki. So the match was somewhere similar to a like a park or a mall or something. I'm not sure. They were going everywhere. They were going to the escalators. One of the girls was using one of those how to say selfie sticks to take a photo, but her opponent used that as a weapon. So basically, they were everywhere. Now, people are still walking by while this entire event was happening. Now, you don't see that every day. So if you guys are interested, you should check it out. But it was a really good match. But however, how this ended up? Well, the magical girl picked up the victory while the other two members of her team put Miyu and Temna underneath a ladder while they put their weight into it. So that's how they won. Very surprising. So it's very interesting. Now the next match, this one is also somewhere in a random street. Um, what's her name? Saki Ikai, who is a member of Eruption. She was out in the street with one of the guys, talking where their match would be, but all of a sudden she was surprised by the opponent, Akito Dansuko and Dansuko Dino and Kazuki Hiruta, while the other members of her team Eruption showed up, and they were fighting everywhere, going through stores, checking out the food, and that sort of thing. They were doing these bizarre things. One guy had his pants down a little bit, trying to show up his little butt crack. Yeah, you heard me say it, butt crack. So there was a moment that how do I say he put the fire extinguisher right there because they were trying to get everyone to get uh, uh, doused with the fire extinguisher. But however, the match was so intense as always. I did not expect it how it was gonna be, but it did allow Eruption somehow to overturn the match and pick up the victory on this one when he put one of them in one of the like similar to a torture rack type, like Lex Luger, but differently, like if you're doing a border toss or the Razor's Edge, something similar. But that's how they won and ended the victory right there. Now the next match took place in some restaurant with Yukio Naya and who's the other guy? Harashima, while they were just enjoying a nice restaurant time, but all of a sudden their opponents, Kengo Nakamura and Makoto Oishi, did not like how the food was prepped. So they started fighting and all this and that. I was like, can't believe they're doing this in a restaurant. But all of a sudden, one of those guys, the second team, grabbed one of the waitresses with something like, "I want to blow her brains out." Like I'm like, that's not a gun. What is he trying to spray her with? And they were trying to make them like be vulnerable. One of them put a chain and whacked what's his name? He oh no Yuki what's his name? Yukio right in the face. But however, some other dude shows up, and the other two idiots were scared. And luckily for them, they actually lost. Yukio and Harashima actually won the match thanks to an assist from someone they know. So basically, the restaurant was not a total, but it was good. So I loved it. I enjoyed it. Now the next match is, I have to say, is my personal favorite. The reason is it was in a indoor water park. Yes, you heard me, indoor water park. We have the tag team calling themselves All Out, consists of Konosuke Takeshita and Shumna Katsumata, teaming with Mayo and Yuki Ino versus the stable faction known as Damnation, consistent of Tetsuya Endo, Soma Takaya, Mad Polly, and Hiroshi Yamato, but they had their leader, Daisuke Suzuko, and pretty much it. The match was so everywhere. They started out with one of those dive in the pool, go across, and then they were going everywhere, beating each other up, tossing them in the pool. But I think the best moment was when they're in some top area where the water slide is. I don't know. I don't know who's who in this particular match. But one of the guys was about to power bomb the other to the water slide, but it just flipped over and they went right through the water slide, and the ref followed. Yes, the ref followed. And then later they tried to pin, and then they were tossing more people down there, and they tried to do like one of those surfboard type of maneuvers, and the dude who was on top just hit his head on the back, while the other member was on top, tossed rubber duckies. Yeah, you heard me, rubber duckies. It's so intense. Like they were still, and they were like fighting each other in every aspect, jumping on top of each other when they're like under passing by like a sort of like a bridge, jumping off of it, and all this and that. It was so good. I love it. And not only that, all of a sudden the match seemed like it was going great, but somehow Damnation were able to get a new member, and this allowed them to win. And they won the match. It was all thanks to the assist of this new member. So I did not expect that, but this is one of my favorite matches I love from DDT. Now the main event is this one is called the Current Explosion Death Match. Yes, you have to be they use like a barbed wire match with fireworks that will hit you, and this is consistent with Atsushi Onita, along with Chris Brooks, Maki Itoi, and Sanshiro Tagagi versus Kuro Chan with Shina Aoki and Super Sasadango Machine and Yuki Kamifuka. Now, this guy, Kori Chan, oh my god, his strength is by licking knees. He thinks it gives him strength. I'm like, ugh. But there was a moment where like it seemed like he was not going to win, but what's her name? Yuki pulled down her knee pads and had Kori-chan lick her knees, and he gained power. But however, there were many moments they used the explosion bat, tried to hurt Kori-chan. On one occasion, they tried again. If you hit your opponent twice with the explosion, you'll be able to pick up the victory and they won't get out. But however, somehow Kori-chan actually overturned it and put it on what's his name, Atsushi, and it's allowing him to win. But however, Atsushi did not like how the match ended. He was even beating up the announcers or whoever's helping promote this match, just beating them, not happy. So I have to say, it's very interesting. Now, I'm not saying it's one of the best things to watch, but however, some of these matches with DDT Pro Wrestling is one of interesting. Now, I'm going to explain this a little bit. DDTs are different than any other promotion in Japan. Now, if you want to subscribe to them, go ahead. I don't know how much it costs in yen for American dollars, but yeah. But if you must know, Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, Michael Nagasawa, they all came from there. Sammy Guevara and Puma King have toured with these guys, and there's been many wrestlers that toured with DDT Pro Wrestling. So if you're interested to watch, then go ahead. But also keep a note: DDT Pro Wrestling are also uh they bought Pro Wrestling Noah, and they form a company that is more like the kind of like Bushiroad called Cyber Fight, and they own both DDT Pro Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Noah. So just keep in mind on that. So I hope you guys enjoyed me reviewing all 5 of these Japanese wrestling events, mostly 2 of them with Stardom, and I will continue to review more of the Japanese wrestling stuff If you guys find it interesting, you guys are able to look it up. But if you want to ask me what's the link where I can watch it, leave me a comment and I'll leave you a link as soon as possible so you guys can take a look. You can watch many of these wrestling promotions that you see not only with New Japan, but you also get the ones that I just been recently seeing with Noah, All Japan, and Stardom, and DDT Pro Wrestling, and then Tokyo Yoshi Pro Wrestling. So I must say, all of you guys, adieu. So goodbye. Mwah. Have a nice day. Bang.